Welcome back to Maximum News, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, as always, Max Derrat. Max Derrat. He's the man whose name you'd love to touch, but you mustn't touch. And sing along. Sorry.
That was pretty good, man. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
That's a pretty good Homer Simpson impression, yeah.
Yeah, just so in case you're wondering what the hell, we were just talking about The Simpsons beforehand. How did we get on that again? Oh, yeah, we were talking about Good Night Moon, and that came up from something else. I'm not even going to get into that. Guys, welcome back. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Sybsidian. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Cool. And joining us for this very special episode is the other second third of the Triple S League. Unfortunately, we wanted to have him on the show more, but just the way that life works, he hasn't been able to make it. But he's here.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, we have Ash.
Well, I'm gonna try to be on more. I love doing the show. I love the show. I listen all the time, and not just because I'm the guy that pushes the button to make it go live on the YouTube, which is what I do. But yes, I'm the other third of the Triple S League and one of the two founders, along with Sybsidian. And I have a bit of an announcement actually to start off. This show, Maximum News with Max Derrat, is now officially a podcast. It has been set as a podcast on YouTube. We're not entirely sure what that means yet, but the option was there, so we clicked it. And YouTube is developing some sort of podcast system, but we have also put it live on all of the major audio podcast platforms. So if you want to take Max and Syb and occasionally me on the road with you to listen to Maximum News, if you're not, you don't have access to YouTube or you just want the audio version because it's convenient, you can find it on, like I said, all the major platforms. That includes iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and then a ton of other ones that I don't even know about. It goes everywhere. So search up Maximum News or search up Triple S League. And in fact, actually what I'll do, I'll put a link to a sort of hub page where you can find, where you can listen to it on your favorite podcast platform.
Now you guys have no excuse. You can take us wherever you want to go. You can get honest delivery of gaming news that matters from the world of gaming, no matter where you go. You can't afford not to have us on your audio device, iPod, whatever the hell it is. Anyways, we don't have any other announcements, right? We can just get right into the...
Well, we might as well do this other one.
Yeah.
We're going to start doing more podcasts that are more long form. That's also going to be mostly everybody that you know from us, including Max and myself and Ash. But we're also going to be trying to get a lot more of our guests in. We used to do this a lot more, and now the opportunity has kind of come around, and we've got a couple of special guests that I'm trying to queue up. So we've got some streamers, we've got some VTubers, and we've got some other people, and we're just going to have nice long chats. They're not going to be super on a schedule for the moment, so they're just going to kind of show up when we can get them arranged. And that's just because we want to do more long form content as well, and it's a kind of a comfort zone. So as we get the ability to do more, we've got one coming up here that we're gonna set the schedule to immediately following this episode. So you won't get an announcement until it's probably recorded and on its way. But we're gonna be sorting that out tonight here. So yeah, really exciting, and really exciting for the future guests that are coming on, because we're really excited about this. So
you messaged me about that earlier today, asking if I wanted to, because you brought up a video that I did. Oh, okay, yes, guys, this is going to be some really, really interesting stuff. Sort of going along the same lines of what we try to do here with the Maximum News Show. Try to provoke some really, really interesting, thoughtful discussions regarding the world of gaming, and maybe some things that you might not have considered but might want to consider for the future, that sort of thing. All right, cool. Well, I look forward to participating in that and seeing that come to fruition. But now, let's get to the world of video games. Super Mario Brothers continues to kill it, guys. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it just became the highest grossing video game movie ever. I think up until this point, it was Detective Pikachu, right? And that was at 400 something million, like low 400 million. But Super Mario just blew past that.
Yeah.
Ash or Syb, which one are you did like the show notes for this?
I did. So yeah, like Saib talked about this last week on this show, I believe, and also
Yes.
he and Moon did on the Triple S League channel. They
Killing
did they did a review when they saw it. I wasn't able to see it until this past Friday, and so I thought I'd share. Again, we had more to talk about because yes, it's blowing all kinds of records out of the water. It had, when I saw it on Friday, it had surpassed $500 million worldwide, and I don't even think it had released worldwide completely yet. Weren't you saying that, Side, that it had hit a lot of international theaters?
Yeah, it's slow rolling because all international markets are pretty slow rolling because especially things that are like, they're not from Disney, right? Disney gets their movies out to basically every theater, snap of the fingers that they want to. Whereas Universal is, despite the fact that it's so much bigger and some of the other studios, they have a little bit more of a slow roll because they're not as big. They don't have a literal army of agents that are able to just, make things happen almost instantly.
Right.
So that is the case in this, is that it's slow rolling out. There's still places in the world that it's going to hit theaters, and it's not there yet, but it's probably opened, as of like yesterday or last night or something like that. So
this movie is easily going to surpass $1 billion in revenue. And, considering it had a budget of $100 million, I mean that's a 1,000. Oh wait, that's. Sorry, math brain is failing me.
That's okay.
I'm getting over a virus right now, and so but anyway, that's 10 times your. So yeah, 1,000% return on your investment.
Mm-hmm.
That's or 900% or whatever, however you calculate it.
It's a lot of money, and a lot of money
10
means.
Times your top 10. What's that?
It means more Nintendo properties are getting movies made about them.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that I can't imagine anything better. I would love a world where I can go see. It's not always just the latest Marvel movie or the newest Star Wars, which apparently there's another trilogy that's been announced, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'd be excited.
Ooh.
I'd be excited if so much of the new Star Wars stuff is like high budget trash or like medium budget. This is really awesome. Why did you put the B team on this show? But that's another discussion.
Yeah.
So, Andor and some other stuff. But so, $100 million, which is apparently pretty economical. It's like it's not a high budget for a movie of an animated film of this scale. It's not a low budget, I don't think. It's like an economical budget, which I think means it's like, okay, maybe mid-range or like less than what they might normally spend. And yet the animation, the visuals were incredibly impressive. Like it's visually this movie is 10 out of 10. It's amazing. And in a lot of other ways it's just an incredible movie as well. But yes, it is the highest grossing movie of 2023 so far. It has the best opening weekend of any animated film ever. The previous record holder being Frozen 2. And
wait, hold on. No, if I'm not mistaken, I think Frozen 2 is still ahead of it, because I think didn't Mario make 200 opening weekend and then Frozen 2 made 220? Well, hold on, I'll double check that real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, man.
Well, I mean, didn't count the dollars myself, just going off what this GameSpot article is saying. But anyway, apparently now it has also set the record for the best start for a video. Wait, where is the actual?
It's the best start, and it's the best like maintaining one.
And is this like apparently the top earning video game movie ever?
Yeah, top video game earning.
So now, what does this tell us? Because we had the critics. About 50% of critics were like, "Yeah, this is a fun romp," and then 50% of critics were like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen." And one of the reasons they cited was that, you have to know so much about the game world in order to appreciate this.
Which is bull, because they've given those high accolade praises to movies like Kung Fu Panda and other movies that were not set in a known world or a known universe. Like Gru from what's that whole series called?
Despicable Me.
Yeah, Despicable Me,
AKA the series.
Yeah, but there's not like
those minion things.
And this is part of my point. Is like that's not a known world. Like that's not part of any known universe. I don't even think it's set in. Wait, no, Betamax is.
Big Hero 6 is what you're thinking of.
He's not even in that. It's not even owned by the same studio. What am I thinking?
Or is it Baymax?
You're thinking about Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6. No, it's not the same one. No, Despicable Me is its own universe. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when somebody comes out and says that after they just watched what was that other movie that came out with the dragon, The Last Dragon or something like that.
How to Train Your Dragon?
No, The Last Dragon.
Maya and the Last Dragon, I think.
No. It's a kids movie, animated, I believe, by Disney. And it was like this girl and this dragon story, and it was very
Maya and the Last Dragon. I'm pretty sure is what it's called.
Oh yeah, Maya and the Last Dragon. There you go.
I'm just googling it here. Raya and the Last Dragon. Sorry,
Raya. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
But even that one, it's the same thing. It's like that's not a known universe. It's not connected to anything. It's not in the fairy tale universe because the fairy tale, the Grimm brothers, those are all somewhat sort of, even though they weren't necessarily intentionally written as such, they are sort of like in that universe now. You've got the Far, Far Away, where you've got all the princess stories and all that kind of stuff and this kind of stuff. And Shrek has claimed a portion of that universe in the way that they've written their stuff. But because a lot of those stories are all like, they're all Creative Commons, right? Because they've been around for so long. It's like you have these universes that are fairly understood, but then you have other ones like the Ray and the Last Dragon, where it's not connected, and they never said anything like that at all. So it's like a guy who reviews a racing car game, and he reviews a racing car game all the time, and then just randomly out of the blue, a new game comes out from a studio that for some reason he doesn't like. And he starts his review going, I couldn't really understand what was going on. I mean, what was the purpose of going to and from the start and the finish line in this world, and what's going on? What am I bypassing? I don't understand any of it. It's like, I'm going to call you out on your BS there, because that's not an argument you ever made before when you heaped praises on this stuff before. Mm-hmm. Even though it's clearly not in in some kind of historical context, it's clearly in like a mystical realm, and you can't connect the dots in Mario's universe, but you never mention that same problem in any of these other ones. So yeah, it's fake. It's fake outrage.
It did look like it was weird because it looked like they were holding this movie to a higher standard than they would hold any other either kid or family oriented animated movie from Illumination. Like it seemed like they set the bar higher arbitrarily, which is weird. But like I said, about half the critics did say, okay, it's a fun movie. 9 out of 10. And
they understood what it was supposed to be. It's
exactly.
Mario.
I even saw one that said, I don't know anything about Mario. I know it's a video game. I don't know anything about it, but the movie was fun to watch. And she gave it like an 8 or 9 out of 10 or something. So there's enough there to appreciate if you appreciate the movie for what it is. Even if a complete non-gamer or someone who doesn't know Mario watches it, they can still appreciate it for what it is. And then you have me, the crazy person who has 100%ed Mario Odyssey twice and played over 10,000 levels in Super Mario Maker 2. And believe me, I felt that was kind of sad when that stat popped up on my screen. I was like, what am I doing with my life? But anyway, I freaking loved it.
Good.
Because it was an absolute love letter to the fans. It was made for the fans. And what does it tell us? That it's blasted past $500 million and will probably surpass $1 billion, and that it's just one of the biggest movies in the world right now. This is what we want out of a video game movie. We want it jam-packed with everything we love about the game. We don't want it reinterpreted into something new, some new vision of it. We don't want Master Chief to take his helmet off and be made into this character that's completely unlike what he's like in the Halo games. We don't want whatever that thing was that they made in the 90s that they called Super Mario Brothers. That's just like, oh, God help us. We don't want that crap. We want what we saw here, and presumably what you saw in the Last of Us TV show, etc. I haven't watched it yet this way, but I know you really liked it, Max. So, that's what we want. One complaint about the movie: it could have been about 15 minutes longer and just devoted that to character, not so much character development, but relationship development. And I know, yes, it's a kid's movie. We don't have to go super deep, but there were points where I was like, you've just slapped these characters together in a team and really given us no understanding of the glue between them. And that was a little unsatisfying. Now, did my 6-year-old nephew who was watching it with me care about that? No. But he was more interested in what's behind the Shy Guy masks. It was adorable. He leans over to me. He's like, I want to know what's behind the mask is. But
that's very adorable.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like, and I don't think this counts as a spoiler, but like Toad, who we see in the trailers, why is he so different from all the other Toads? And why is he suddenly so attached to Mario? Like questions like that it could have taken like 30 seconds of extra screen time.
I did have an idea, or my only qualm is like thinking back on it now, because I was listening to some of the people who were complaining, most notably one fellow that I watch a fair bit, and he was kind of upset with the way that the story went, and he felt that it was kind of like a little cheap. And the one thing that I'll say is that slight, I guess, sort of spoiler alert. Do we want to do spoilers, or do we want to?
Yes. Well, let's avoid it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's probably avoid story spoilers.
Okay.
But I mean, as if you can't guess the story going in, right?
Mario's probably going to save. Well, no, maybe not from the trailers that I've seen.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, there are probably a few things that might surprise people about the directions they went with the story.
Okay,
and they were pretty good.
I still need to see the thing.
Well, there you go. So let's even for Max's sake, let's avoid the spoilers. But I mean, overall, really good. Don't expect deep storytelling, but super 8 out of 10.
Just a good
I would say a high 8 out of 10, probably 8.5 out of 10 is what I would give it. Like I said, would have liked a little more character development. Actually, like I said, more relationship development than character development. Just trying to understand why these characters are suddenly adventuring together, why they're suddenly so attached to each other. Would have been good, but again, I wonder if it's because it had that conservative budget of $100 million, and adding 15 minutes to an animated film is no small feat. Right. That's millions and millions of dollars of extra voice recording and animation and all that. So maybe it was entirely budgetary, and maybe now that they've made such a massive return on their investment, maybe the next movies that come out of this will have a more solid, maybe they'll have a little more foundation like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's no denying that that's going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind that Super Mario Brothers 2 is going to come. And when that does come, there's going to be a denser story that comes along with that. It's going to be like what Star Trek 2 was to Star Trek 1 in terms of density of plot and compelling narrative, in my opinion. That's the only natural trajectory I think they can go. Question is that I want to ask you guys before we move on to the next topic. No doubt that the success of this means that Nintendo is going to exploit their other IPs and get adaptations done for them. Which one do you want to see first? For me, it's Zelda.
Animal Crossing. No,
sure.
I'm kidding.
I mean, sure, I'd be down.
Zelda would be awesome. I think Metroid would be amazing as well.
Yeah.
Metroid, I think Zelda is probably their best bet, and then Zelda would be really good, right? So here's how I imagine it going. They're gonna be really smart, if they were gonna be really smart, and if they want to hire me to do this, I'll probably agree.
Because Miyamoto listens to our podcast. Go on.
Exactly. So they should start now, like going from here, their next one should be Zelda, in which at some point during the Zelda movie, Link and Zelda like both grab the Triforce, and they both like see this like thing that they can't really explain, like right at the end, and something happens, and Ganon like gets a piece of it or something like that, because it's a continuation movie, right? But it's not just a continuation movie. A piece of the Triforce is like gone missing or something like that. And then the next movie will be the Metroid movie. And at the end of the Metroid movie,
oh god,
there will be the piece of the Triforce will be locked away in some secret lab, and they're like, "What is this?" And that's when everybody will start going, "Oh my god, the universes are connected!" And
so
then in the next movie,
it'll be the next Infinity War type thing.
Yeah.
yes, the
Super Smash Brothers, baby.
Yeah, exactly. That's and there'll be like this guy with like an eye patch, and he'll be like, "We're gonna need to put together a team of the ultimate Smash Brothers." And yeah,
Smash Brothers movie. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I would see a Smash Brothers movie in a heartbeat.
Although I don't know, there's a chance it might not be that interesting, because we'd all know that Fox would win in the end, because he wins in all the competitive tournaments.
Oh, Star Fox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Fox would be there's another, and that's a I mean, Sab's not way off here, especially The Legend of Zelda. You could have in the same universe as Mario. I think there's even some hints in the games that they are in the same universe, even outside of Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
But A Legend of Zelda, there's so much. I think there's way more they could do with, as far as deep lore. There's way more they could do with Zelda than Mario.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Well, we know now that there's pipes, in Earth time that can connect you with, multiple dimensions. So it's like there's
spoiler.
If they're smart, if they're really good with it, they can link that together.
I saw that. Link that together. That was a good one.
Nice.
All right.
And Link is probably one of the best characters to like, between him and Mario, I think is probably one of the best characters to like bridge the universes together.
Yeah. Just wait till the controversy about Link's voice and whoever they cast to play him, though.
Well,
because Link doesn't even talk in the games.
Or they could do like what they did with Arnold and Conan the Barbarian, where they barely got him to talk at all.
But I have actually, a theory. I have a crazy wild theory.
Uh-huh.
I think that because they did do a little bit of something with Peach's background, I think Peach, and this is, I think this is really going to happen, guys. This is 100%. Turns out Peach is actually the half sister of Zelda.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Especially with the new style of Peach, which looks more like what Zelda looks like in the 3D Zelda games. Like
Zelda's like a half.
They made her less. Yeah, but they made Peach a little less cartoony. I mean, she's still cartoony, obviously, but a little less cartoony. Yeah.
Yeah, you could you could take creative liberties there to unite the universes, and I'd be down for it.
If you came up with a really solid lore for it, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
If it was just like an obvious cash grab or something, then I don't think fans would like that at all. But anyway, we can move on if you want.
Yeah, it'll be 2 or 3 years before we get to that. It's interesting to speculate about, though, as fans. Guys, question is for you. Did you see the Super Mario Brothers movie yet? What movie would you like to see next as, the next Nintendo IP-based movie? I mean, like, is it Zelda, or is it maybe something obscure like Eternal Darkness? Man, that'd be really cool, but that would never happen. Let us know in the comment section below. All right. Moving on to the next story here. The Suicide Squad game, Kill the Justice League, whatever the hell it's called, from Rocksteady, got delayed. And no, this isn't 2 months ago when we did the same story. I think it was back in February. No, it got delayed again. Yeah, last time it was delayed like 6 weeks or so because it said, oh yeah, we just want to put polish on it. But then it's like, no, we're going to delay it almost an entire year. Yeah, they put out on Twitter, Rocksteady, that, yeah, we're delaying this sucker from May this year, which is what they pushed it back to last time, to February 2nd of 2024. And yeah, I don't think this can be boiled down to anything other than like the negative response that people gave to that State of Play trailer. I don't think that 10 months is enough to fundamentally change everything about the nature of the game, but maybe it could address some of the things that people were complaining about. Like the number one thing that sort of comes to the top of my head when I was reading about all this controversy is, well, Captain Boomerang, when you think about Captain Boomerang, you don't think about him using submachine guns. But you see him in the trailer, and like all the other characters, like King Shark and, well, what's his name? Deadshot, whatever the character with the eye patch is, he uses a gun, sure. But the other ones, no, you would want to see Captain Boomerang use a boomerang, or King Shark uses melee abilities, kind of like the Hulk or something like that. Have them use weapons that are in tune with their characters. Maybe they can add in gameplay elements like that, or change it a little bit up from, make it more unique as a looter shooter. But to fundamentally change it into something closer to what we would want from a Rocksteady type of Suicide Squad game, I don't think so. But yeah, that's the only... I don't see if there's any other logical way we can take this news. Syb, what are your thoughts on this? Like, am I off base with this in some way?
No, I think you're right. It does depend a little bit on like what they do, because again, like the weapons are huge. It's a really big thing that they're using these. And again, it's not that hard to come up with some like ranged abilities for a lot of these characters. It just like like Boomerang guy. It's like, give him a gun that fires boomerangs. Like, yeah. It's not that hard. For some of the other characters, it's a little bit more of a question. Now, I mean, I don't think anybody would have thought twice if Harley was running around with guns, because she's done that in the past, so that makes sense. But how on earth some of the other characters, they're like, yeah, here, he's got guns. It's like, why does he have guns? Well, because he has guns. And it's like, and you could tell that all of the guns were essentially the same for each class. Like there wasn't class specific guns. They were just all the guns that you're rolling for in the stupid loot boxes to try and get more guns, and trying to get the cool gun of the flavor of the month, and it's just actually just a giant waste of your time. Stuff like that. And now do they have enough time? If they're going to change out like one or two of the characters and do some like small tweaks, then maybe like switch out one of the weapon types to actually, create something unique. But if they can't do that, if they can't find a way to like fundamentally really change the game, I mean, I think they're going to be at a, I think they're going to hit a brick wall.
Ash, I this just came to mind when Syb was talking. This reminds me very much of Halo Infinite. Remember that trailer that came out and people were saying, "Oh, it looks like a Roblox mod or something." It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that great either. The trailer that came out for Halo Infinite when it was supposed to come out in 2020, and then they delayed it because of the backlash of that. It was delayed a full year, and then it came out, and it's still having enormous problems. Is it illogical to maybe think that something similar is going to happen here?
I think that it's too late in the game for them to change the core of what this game is, which is obviously a looter shooter, probably one that is intended to cash in on
the IP,
on the microtransactions and all of this tiresome stuff that these live service games do.
Right.
And now Halo Infinite, yes. Does it have problems? Yes. Did it lack some stuff we were hoping to see? Yes. But overall, I enjoyed playing it, and if I recall, you did as well. We did.
Yes.
You and I did a review of it together.
Yes, I try not to put my head out because people will chew it off if I say anything good about Halo Infinite. But yeah, I agree.
Well, I
with you.
mean, if you if you want to clip this out, you go right. You go right ahead. I think that anyone wants to bite. I enjoyed playing it, but I'm not still playing it.
Yes,
like I played it once and it was fun, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll. But like, I'm not going around to do all the little icons on the map and stuff. Like, I played it through beginning to end. I played it through a second time to get some additional guides and stuff, to try the super hard difficulty mode. But eventually, I was just tired of it, and I was just done. I put it down, and I was on to other things. And that's, it doesn't have
that
longevity,
stuff to bring people back over and over again.
Anyway, with regard to the Suicide Squad game, now looter shooters are not my genre. Just ask Syb. It takes a lot for a looter shooter to impress me and make me say I actually want to play that. This didn't even come close.
Yeah.
Watching the gameplay for Suicide Squad, it just looked boring. It looked like every other looter shooter, and I'm like, this is supposed to be a DC superhero game. Like, why not just give Spider-Man a gun and have him run around and have it be a third-person shooter? Like, that's what it felt for me. And I'm not even that, like, I'm not super into the DC character. Like, I don't know all the characters and all of that in as far as DC comics. But I was like, this shark guy has a gun, and this guy has a gun, and Harley Quinn has a gun. Everyone has a gun. This is just any other generic shooter with a DC Comics skin on it. Yeah. And then I scrolled down the comics.
It's basically Fortnite.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
basically just Fortnite with like themed skins or like themed like character packs that only affect the visuals, because everything else, like the combat, it just plays the same. Like, you move the same.
And what was the difference between the four characters? They're all just flying in the air all the time.
Their personality, okay?
Yeah, which I found the dialogue kind of annoying. Now I get that these are like the villains, and they're,
trying to kill Superman, which is
something like that.
A Sisyphean task. To put it lightly.
So okay, like some of the snarky, but I was like, I don't know if I could listen to this dialogue for a long time, but whatever. That's in the eye of the beholder. Like, or the is it still beholding if you're hearing it? Anyway,
the behearer.
The behearer. Anyway, it looked. I was like, this looks like any shooter, and then I scrolled down. And that's what so many of the comments on the YouTube video of the gameplay were saying. It was like, this is just... It was like, why does everyone have a gun? This is generic shooter. This looks so disappointing, and blah, blah, blah.
It's too bad, man, because it's Rocksteady. These are the guys that gave us the legendary Arkham games, particularly the first two, which I think everybody generally recognizes are the greatest. Why couldn't they bring that type of personality to each of the individual characters and build a game around that? Even by doing something as simple as, like what Syb said, give Captain... If you want to do it about guns, fine. Just give it something that plays into their personality. I mean, hell, Marvel's Avengers, right? That game was a looter shooter type game, and it wasn't very good, but at least they based the game around what those characters were and what they were special for, right? Anyways, hopefully... Yeah, there's not much else that we can do except, cheer on Rocksteady that over the next 10 months they'll be able to put something together that can address the majority. They're not going to be able to address all of them, but the majority of the complaints, so that way when the game comes out, maybe they can get it to a point where they get enough people in there and then build on top of it so that it can become something special. But I don't know, man. The way the market is crowded right now, and the number of great games that have come out this year, that have come out later and next year as well, it's going to be tough. But I hope you pull through, Rocksteady. Anyways, speaking of games that are coming out pretty soon, that a lot of people are really excited for. Final Fantasy 16. I'm kind of new to the Final Fantasy franchise. I only really started playing their games like 1 or 2 years ago. I've played 6, 7, 9, and 10. So the ones that everybody says are good, I'm probably going to play 8 next. But for whatever reason, I haven't really been paying attention to any of the modern ones. Well, mostly because I heard they're not that good. And I sort of just, with everything that's been going on with Square Enix lately, I haven't really been paying much attention to anything they've been doing with Final Fantasy 16. That said, Sony did a state of play a few days ago. I gotta say, guys, I'm impressed. Mm-hmm. It looks really, really damn good. Like, granted, it's not going to appeal to all Final Fantasy fans. Like, I was talking to somebody that I know recently who said they're like quietly boycotting the game because it's not the type of Final Fantasy that they care about, with like turn-based and all that. It seems more like something closer to the original God of War. But as somebody who hasn't grown up with the franchise, who's a little bit more willing to see the franchise take an experimental approach, I thought that what they showed in that 25-minute trailer was excellent. The combat, in particular, it seems a lot more to my style, and thank God. I'm so happy with how the combat looks for one particular reason. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake recently, and I kept trying to play that sucker like God of War. I could not play it the way that they wanted me to, where like it slows down time and you gotta do it turn-based like that. I just kept wanting to play it like friggin' Dark Souls, where I'm getting Cloud to dodge all over the place and use his Buster Sword. Seeing that I can do that with Final Fantasy 16 makes me so damned happy. And then that stuff with what are the summons names? The icons, where the gigantic epic battles with the epic music. It's calling them epic. You know, sometimes people overuse that word and it sort of has become contaminated. But to see the battles between like the Phoenix and Bahamut and Ifrit and all the other common summons from all the Final Fantasy games in just like the giant scale, it was mind-blowing and gorgeous to look at. Granted, one minor complaint that I had is that during a couple of the sequences, you could tell that the game's engine was chugging along and the frames were dropping a bit. But aside from that minor complaint, I loved everything that I saw in this trailer. The music was excellent. The epic scale of the world. It's not open world. It's sort of like semi-open world, kind of like Tales of Arise was. And that's fine, because we're sort of used to that as Final Fantasy fans. And like with the many different hubs that you can go to, the hubs that are there look great. And not like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where some stuff looks great and other stuff looks like crap. This looks great. And yeah, all of a sudden, I'm actually really looking forward to this game, guys. I hope that this can sort of fill the hole in people's hearts that people had since, you know, like I know a lot of people didn't like Final Fantasy 15. Hopefully this can appeal to a whole lot more people, and you know, to whatever degree Square Enix can repair their image, they can with this game. It's looking damn good. I'm going to pass this over to Ash, because we've never talked about Final Fantasy. Are you a Final Fantasy fan? Did you see the trailer? What did you think? Well,
I went and watched the trailer when I saw we were going to be talking about it. I'm neither a fan nor not a fan of Final Fantasy. I just don't have a lot of exposure to the series. I really haven't played any of the games. Okay. Just not one that I have had the chance to dive into yet. And when there's 16 games, I mean, I know you don't need to play all of them, but anyway, no.
6 through 10. Just worry about 6 through 10.
6 through 10. Yeah. Well, and so I don't know all the history of like, oh, the games used to be like this, and so people, you know, some of the old fans aren't fans of the new games. I don't know anything about all of that, but I watched the trailer and I was impressed as well. It was graphically very beautiful, first of all, which is always nice to see. And it was, I mean, maybe it's because I had just watched the Suicide Squad gameplay, but I was like, this looks awesome. In comparison, it absolutely was. But even, just on its own, it looked really cool. In fact, just comparing the two, I'm like, why can't you make like a looter shooter style game that has this kind of combat? And, the single, there were like 3 sections in the state of play that focused on combat. So, they split them up, which was interesting. And so at first it was just, just the main character fighting bad guys. And that looked, it was really fast. I really like fast-paced combat. I actually had trouble seeing what was going on because YouTube's compression couldn't handle how much was happening on the screen at one time.
Yeah.
That's how fast and crazy the gameplay was.
They love their particle effects.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was getting blockiness and I was like, what is happening? But it looked like it was really cool. And what I could see looked really cool. It looked like there were lots of fun abilities. It looked like pretty fun combat overall. Numbers flying everywhere, particles flying everywhere. Then they showed combat with allies, and that looked even better. And normally I don't like allies helping me in combat, but I was like, but it looked like they really added something to the experience, fighting with your companions. And then the dog, and I was like, one question: can I pet the dog?
Yes.
I don't know if you can pet the dog, but you can give him treats, so that's almost as good. Anyway, I'm impressed. Looking at it as a complete outsider, it looks really fun.
It's coming out in June, right, Syb? I can't remember the exact date, but I can't remember if there's any games that like any other mainline titles that are coming out in June. But anyways, does this look like something that you would be wanting to dedicate your time to in the month of June?
That's gonna be a tight one because it's hard to say because of all of the stuff, and we're gonna get to that in a few minutes. All of the enormous amount of games that are coming out this year, it might be something that is more open just because of timing might work out. But as far as the game actually goes, I'll answer kind of like my thought when I was watching it is that it kind of feels like this like Elden Ring / Tales of
Arise
/ Shadows of the Colossus thing mix. And I do understand, and I get 100%, guys, anybody who thinks that this is moving away from traditional Final Fantasy games, yes, I agree. This has been going like that for a while. It's so weird to me that you have people who were behind the creation of Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy VII, some of the greatest games that I grew up with. And the whole time they hated that gameplay. They as soon as they had the opportunity to leave the turn-based methodical, combat behind and go to a heavy action, light on actual choice kind of mechanics, they did that in a heartbeat. And they've been chasing action games ever since then, and they've been moving further and further and further away from the style of combat that they had people grow up on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing in the sense of wanting to like try new things and don't get stale. And there was a time when turn-based games did kind of hit a wall, although we don't know if that wall was actually real, or if it was encouraged by a bunch of idiot analysts who were like, yeah, turn-based stuff is gone, and look at just how bad some of these turn-based games turned out to be. Well, they turned out bad because you stopped advertising them. You didn't use any graphical like upgrades and technology and new technology. It's like,
or they were bad games.
And they were just bad games. And it's like, well, no wonder nobody wants to play them anymore because they're bad games. And one of the biggest things that irritates me the most, I've got to say, I don't know what they were thinking, but like they looked at the old style, like, number 4 and 5, those kinds of games, right? They looked at that art style and they said, we can't make this look any better than it is. We're just done with this. And then years and years and years later, you have these games that come out that utilize that same kind of engine, but they have like this coloring graphical system that just makes it makes the game look so gorgeous, so beautiful. You have these scaling maps that are being used in what's that Escape from Hades? What's that game called?
I don't know.
Yeah, you play the devil's like son, and you're trying to like.
Oh, you mean Hades?
Yeah,
just Hades.
I was thinking
Hades. Okay, I thought there was a like Hades / title to it, but I couldn't remember what the / title. No, there was no / title to it. It was just Hades. Yeah, okay. So Hades, all these isometric games where, and we've got another one coming out tomorrow. By the time you hear this podcast, it'll probably already be out. But and Moon is going to try. We're going to try and stream this as soon as we can. But it's called The Mage Seeker, and it's part of the League of Legends universe. And again, it's this old bit style graphics, and people are stoked for this game. It looks so cool. It's got so much cool stuff going on. But they left that art style, they left the thing behind that they had kind of built on, and they chased down this way of like pushing graphics and then hopping on the bandwagons. Now that said, does that mean it's going to be bad? No. In fact, this could be the best growth in the action RPG franchise that we've seen in a long time, as far as like combat and also graphical pushing the boundaries of the graphics. And the boss fights were just enormous. Like there's just so much going on. And again, they have to make sure that they get that technically, on a technical level, they have to make sure they get that correct.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing for them to try new things. The most frustrating thing is that they seem to have left a lot of that other stuff behind. And I really don't like that, because, it's like, we grew up on this kind of stuff, and we like that kind of combat, and now you're just walking away from it. I wish that they would have like learned to like, walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. As a company, it's like, hey, maybe we can work on two different things and kind of just like focus on building an even bigger, more inclusive universe with more titles and more options. But right now, the only turn-based stuff you get is these like terrible mobile versions of that they pump out constantly. It's just ladled. This has ladles and ladles of microtransaction added on top of it. Like Fatburger does with their grease on their burgers. Ugh. It's just. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's a horrible thing. But people who are concerned about it and who are upset about it, 100%. You have the right to be. You have the right to be upset, because it is there. And just looking at, again, I was just looking at some of the comments, and it's like there is some negativity there, and it is slightly earned, but it's not necessarily the worst thing that could have happened, right?
Yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters is whether or not we get a good game. It might not be the Final Fantasy that we remember. We might not ever get back to peak Final Fantasy. But given where the franchise has been for the last several years, given the state of Square Enix right now, I think it's safe to say that the majority of us just want to have a game. Hell, it'll be a celebration if it's great. And at the moment, if this trailer is anything to go by, it looks great. Now, hopefully the technical aspects hold up. Hopefully the story holds up. And it might not. But we'll see. Come June. I just checked. It is coming out June 22nd. Yeah. And aside from Diablo 4, there doesn't seem to be any other major titles releasing during that month. Zelda's coming out next month.
Not yet. There's a whole bunch of announcements coming soon. So we're gonna be swamped with titles right away.
Okay. Now, we have one more story, and let's just do this because I do gotta go. I was supposed to be done now, but let's just do this quickly. What about Alice?
It's not too big. Basically, a lot of people were contacting American McGee and asking him, please, can we please get another Alice game? And he came out, basically said, you have to talk to EA because they locked me out of the contract. Essentially, they bought it lock, stock, and barrel, pushed me out, and I have no ability or resources to attempt to regain control of it. And they are letting it sit in a warehouse. This is really sad because, again, another game that's absolutely brilliant. I use it as inspiration a lot when I'm trying to like write. I'll look up things that kind of have the same thematic feel to it, and I'll submerge myself in that art until I get a feel, and then I'll write something. I'm not taking the writing. I'm just using that thematic feel or some of the wordplay sometimes as a bit of a homage to it on the very, very occasion, but trying to like do that. And American McGee's Alice in Wonderland was one of those things where it was a really unique and good take and interesting take on something that was completely different at the time, essentially from what you'd normally expect. I've told this story a number of times. I went to Walmart one day, or it might have been a superstore, I'm not sure which. I go to the store and they have a computer section, and in the children's computer game section there's Alice in Wonderland, bunch of copies of it, and I moved them all up to the adult section, or the plus 12 section, and I was like, and I went to one of the guys, I'm like, just so you know, this is not a kid's game. If you sell this to kids, parents,
you're gonna have angry parents.
You're gonna have very angry parents. I said, this is like, there is drug use, demon summoning, and a metric ton of blood in this game. Do not. And the person looked at me and goes, Alice in Wonderland is always a children's story. Like, uh-huh. And I'm like pointing out, like, do you see this knife? It's not covered in, what do you think this is?
She was just cutting
strawberry jam. It's like, yeah, oh yeah, okay. Nice thick pure red strawberry jam. That she's pulling out of a guy's throat. Okay, sure. So stuff like that. This goes again to show that these big studios are not our friends. They don't actually care about something, and in a lot of cases, they I mentioned this before. Dumb analysts who tell them what is and is not popular. Some of these people are the absolute worst people as far as like people who do a job and get paid for a job. Some of these people are so idiotic. They have no brains when it comes to basic like things. It's like, why is this not popular right now? Oh, because I don't think it is. Do you have any math? Any science? It's like that guy charged $1,000 to attend to read his special outlook for Bethesda as a company. What did he say? The next game they're working on is the next Elder Scrolls game. This was around Fallout 4. It's like, the hell is wrong? Where did you pull this out of your butt? And you think this is like good advice? You had to pay $1,000 to read his article. You had to pay him $1,000 to read that article, and he clearly made it up off the top of his head after very briefly taking a peek at their Wikipedia page and not even reading the whole thing. Just okay, eeny meeny. I guess you're making this next. It's like, wow.
Wait. I know what it was, Syb. He was the early incarnation of ChatGPT. That's what he was.
Clearly.
Just making stuff up.
Just making stuff up. And this is, again, it's just one of these scenarios where you have to just be like, this is how this works. This is how this stupidity in this industry works, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it's not going away anytime soon. We're going to be having a lot more of this to come. And where you have just masses and masses and throngs of people begging, please, can we please get this thing that we all love, that we all believe is like, something that we really want and that could be made well without, losing your head about it. And then they look at you and they go, No. It's like, why? You're just saying no to money.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
It's that Nintendo attitude.
Yeah, it's such a frustrating thing to deal with, because there are so many good IPs, good things, the EverQuest universe, like all future EverQuest stuff sitting inside a Russian hard asset vault. It's like, oh, good Lord. I'm not kidding on that. It's not a joke. It's literally sitting inside a vault. They unplugged it, they put it onto a computer, then they put the computer in a vault, and they're expecting it to grow in worth. Like, you're dealing with people who don't even understand what the internet is. They don't understand it. They have no conception of it. They might have a smartphone for phone calls, but they can't see anything. They can't see anything else with it, and it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating. So yeah, that's what the current state of that game is looking like. And really, when you look at EA as a whole, I cannot wait until they fall apart. And I hope that, there's some studios that can escape, being completely decimated. I hope there's a bunch of them that can, cut themselves off of the bleeding horse and just go their own direction.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case. I don't know if that ever will be. This is just a reminder that all studios, eventually, all of these studios, they will fall apart. And this is why the importance of following indie developers and watching these smaller studios create new games, new exciting projects. I was just talking with a new contact the other day. He was making AAA games for years, for almost 2 decades. And then he discovered a niche indie series, a niche indie, like the indie market, and he started working on projects, and he fell in love with it. Now he's got his own team, and he's making his own projects based in just going back to really basics, and he's making more money there than he was at the AAA studio. So there's hope for the future, because there's always somebody who's willing to try something new.
Moral of the story, guys, as it is always, screw EA. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this episode of Maximum News. Sorry for the abrupt end, and sorry for the sad end. Don't worry, though. There's a lot of reasons to look forward to the future in regards to gaming. We got Dead Island 2 coming out this week, which is looking pretty damn good. We got Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is looking amazing. It's so amazing, it's making me sad that I'm not going to have any time to play it. And then, of course, Final Fantasy 16, like we mentioned before, and a whole bunch of other stuff to look forward to. So just keep that in mind. I want to thank Syb, as always, for doing the show with me and providing this lovely insight. And I want to thank Ash for finally coming back to the show and providing his 2 cents on these things. It added a very interesting, fresh dynamic to the Maximum News show, which was greatly appreciated. Ash, I'm going to throw this over to you real quickly. Do you want to tell people about the main channel before we sign off for the night?
Triple S League. We do game guides. We do some news stuff. Not some news stuff is more over here on this channel now on Triple S Podcasts. But we do game guides. We do reviews. We do what else do we do? We do some comedy stuff. We have a new comedy series up now, 5 episodes of that we call Hogwarts Latecomers.
It's great.
It's based off of the Hogwarts Legacy series, and we're kind of a variety channel, as Syb often says, and so it's hard to pin down, but we do have tons of, like I said, tons of guides, and yeah, just recommend checking it out. It's kind of the home base of everything we do on YouTube. We have some other channels, but that's whenever you hear Syb say the main channel, which he says a lot, that's what he means. And that's where the live streams happen too. So check it out. Link for that's in the description below.
Nice. And you guys can also find a link to my stuff, Max Derrat, my YouTube channel, in the description box below as well. Thanks, guys. And until we do this again next week, I want to remind you, as always, stay yellow.